Mm-hmm. Oh, hello there, one and all. I am the Baelish.
I welcome you all to this delightful time and place. Yes, quite delightful. Today we will have for you a story. What story, you may ask? Well, if you were to look into my hand, you would see, from the looks of the old skull of Yorish, this is a story I am telling you today. I should say, the skull of Boogie Slim, right here. Yes, of course. Here is your skull back. Don't worry, I haven't dropped it yet. Nor broken it on ya. Alright, off you go and let me do this out the road. Just mind the cat in the chair as you walk out, otherwise you lose your head. What I tell you, you lose your head. Now then, back to the story at hand. Yes, I know, I got two right hands, get over it. Right. So, today's story is none other than the Screaming Skulls. Which Screaming Skulls? Well, Dorothy and John Cook's Screaming Skulls, of course. You don't like that, you dafty Dallas. Then you ain't gonna like what comes next. Believe me. Yes, it's time for a skull story. A pair of screaming skulls that you would not care to meet. Of course, you did injustice, you wouldn't care to meet them. Because that's what today's story is about. Two innocent people done in by the greed of another. No one. Just allow me to be comfortable for a while, and I'll tell you the story. I'll definitely make sure to regale you with it, with everything that happened, all that we know. It is, after all, a ghost story, and the time now is just about Halloween. So, prepare yourself for what comes next, and you shall not be disappointed, or so we hope. Now, on with the story. Some several hundred years ago, I suppose, there was a couple, an old couple by a river, so it said, or in the Lake District, over in England there, I suppose, depending on who you told, what story you read of it, what version. There was an old, as I said, there was an old couple called Dorothy and John Cook, and they were happy where they was. They had made a decent life for themselves on their farm by the side of a river, or the side of the lake if you prefer. So, old John and Dorothy Cook enjoyed themselves there, as I said. Now, they did have a neighbour, Miles Phillipson, and he was quite the philanthropist, I suppose. Or I should say, he was quite, I suppose philanthropist is a bit, quite assumptive. Reality being, he was definitely someone you did not want to cross. Now, poor John and Dorothy Cook, oh dear. How does that continue with the story? I'll tell you. Now, as I said, they would enjoy their lives on their little farm. Very happy where they was. till one day they were invited by Miles Phillipson, for he wanted to do something. He wanted to take over the farm and add it to his own property, he did. So, what do you suppose happened? Every offer he made, they rejected. That's what happened. Every offer. Every single offer he made, they rejected. So, quite happy, as I said. Till finally, one Christmas, he invited them to his own home. And there, he sat them down to a sumptuous supper, a feast the like of which they would never be able to believe. Of course, he had many of his rich friends there too, and they all enjoyed it. How much did they enjoy it? Well, quite the amount. Poor old Dorothy and John, despite everything around them, despite how sumptuous it was, they actually did not know what to say, so one story says, one version of it. And what do you suppose happened to him? Poor old John just sat there staring at the silver goblet or bowl right before his eyes, and that was it. He could not take his eyes off it. He wouldn't. Because how could you expect an old couple who preferred to be farmers, who were farmers for that matter, they would all just sit there, and he just sat there, I should say, instead. For all these people laughing, talking up a storm around him, he and his poor wife. Their reaction, well, let's see, their reaction would be as you would expect it, not knowing what to say or what to do. So, what should happen? Phillipson's wife, supposedly out of the kindness of her own heart, spoke to old John and said, "You like the look of that goblet before you, don't you?" "Oh, the bowl," as I said. Old John could just nod. He never said nothing else. That was it. For what else was he to say about such a thing? But nothing. Nothing about it at all. Poor fellow. And so, that's how it happened. That is how it happened. John and Dorothy Cook went home, so they did. They went home and slept off the supper. And in the morning, several constables of the peace came around and took them in. They took 'em. What for, you might ask? For that self-same goblet, of course. The very same one that he had been staring at the whole night, the poor fellow. That whole dinner long. So, when they found it, the reason why they found it was old Phillipson himself. His servants, one of them had snuck it into their house, put it amongst their belongings, and left it there. Now, as I said, Miles Phillipson had them banged up, to rights, so you'd say. And so they were. Despite poor John and Dorothy, well, John protested their innocence. No one believed him. So Dorothy decided to do one thing that she could think of. The one thing being, "A curse upon you there, Phillipson. May your ill-gotten land tear you apart." Because old Miles Phillipson, well, he was the magistrate of the place. And so, what he did was take over the land, and not too long later, a year some would say, after he had annexed it, he had continued to make and improve upon his manor, turn into more of a mansion, you would say. Now, that time, Christmas time again, something happened. Something that terrified Phillipson and his guests. Well, what was it? They found, so it said. A terrible scream and yelling came, and before them appeared a skull. The skull of Dorothy, or John, or even both of them at the same time, terrified everyone, and they ran out the door, ran. All his guests took off for the hills, so they say. So, what did old Phillipson do? Well, he took the skull and he chucked it in the lake or the river and left it there. When he invited them back again, these guests, the skull reappeared again, this time above the fireplace. He threw it out again, buried it, took it to the graveyard and buried it there, in the same place as poor John and Dorothy were. And he believed it was done. No, they came back again, and again, every time. Some say one, or both screaming skulls all about the place. One day on the fireplace, the next in the parlour, the next the drawing room, the next on the staircase. So they say. But what would I know? I'm little more than a storyteller here, lying down by this old torchlight, and giving my best retelling of it. And so as it would happen, as I'd tell it to you, do go and check it out for yourself. But before then, pay attention just a little while longer. For old Miles Phillipson, well, he lost big time, he did. All his doings came to naught. He lost everything. Everything. All the way down to his last coin, to his last piece of bullion. All of it gone. And all of his heirs, so said, could never get anything done with the house. And so it fell to ruin, to rot. Some days it is said the skulls are still there. Some days it is said they still sit there and talk to each other when you can hear the wind howling through the eaves of the old place. Well, will that be true or not? I cannot tell you. Nor can I say whether this ghost story is real or not. Who knows? Phillipson and he may have been a magistrate. Or the other two, who knows? A couple of poor farmers, yes, quite likely. But all in all, it is a good ghost story. And one with a perfectly good moral. Moral being, don't do evil, lest you want it done to you. And so with that, everybody, I say goodbye to you. This is a Baelish telling you to go out there and enjoy yourself. For Halloween comes only once a year, and if you live around here though, it's every day all year long, depending on who you talk to. And so, goodbye to you. Oh, don't worry about Boogie Slim. He's fine. See ya soon.